Hello everyone, welcome to SI UK India webinar. Thank you for joining us. We are now live with Oxford Sixth Form College. Today we have Mark, Kali and Hamish with us. They will be taking us through this webinar. We'll answer all the questions after the presentation during the Q&A session. So let's start the webinar. Over to you, Hamish.
Great, thank you, Yukti. It's fantastic to be here. My name is Hamish Davies and I'm the Senior Regional Manager for Oxford Sixth Form. It's great to see so many people tuning in for this live streaming. I'll be your main contact at the school for any inquiries that you might have. So please do get in touch with the team at SI UK. They have my contact details and I look forward to speaking with each of you in the very near future about your application or any inquiries you might have about studying at Oxford Sixth Form College. Thanks very much. I'll now hand to Mark Love, our esteemed principal on campus at Oxford Sixth Form right now. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Hamish. I can see behind you actually the Radcliffe camera, which is one of the most famous landmarks here in Oxford and is a mere 2-minute walk away from the college. So thank you very much for that very lovely introduction. So today, everybody, my plan is to talk to you about why you should come to the UK and why you should study A-levels.
Can I just interrupt you, Mark? Sorry, we can't see you and we'd all love to see your face. There we go. Perfect.
Very brave thing to say, Carly, but thank you for flagging that. So my apologies to all of you for Carly saying that you had to see my face. So otherwise you were going to have a lovely presentation, but now you have to see me as well. So sorry about that, everybody. So today I want to talk to you about why come to the UK to study A-levels. And indeed, why come to the UK full stop? So we're going to blend those two things together as I go through the presentation. As you've already been told, you'll have plenty of opportunities to ask questions, to put those into the chat box as we go through. A little bit about me, first of all. As I said, rather terrifyingly, you can see me live. So I qualified as a teacher many, many years ago and had my Bachelor of Education qualification, and then followed that up with the very long acronym of PGCLME, which stands for the Postgraduate Certificate of Leadership and Management in Education. I've been a principal here in Oxford since 2017, so nearly 6 years, and it's a fantastic place to work. It's a wonderful, small school, very diverse community of young people from all over the world. The biggest minority are British students, but we have students from about 35 different countries. I've worked in teaching for a very, very long time, and I've been a principal at a number of schools, primarily in London, before I came up to Oxford. I am a teacher. I trained as a teacher, as I've already said. I teach A-level economics, I teach A-level business, and occasionally I dabble in GCSE history. History is a great passion of mine. I've been a vice principal, a governor, a senior tutor, and a teacher. So on my journey to my headship, I covered many, many different roles within many different types of schools. I've worked at independent day schools, independent boarding schools, state sixth form colleges, and I even did some teacher training in a primary school, teaching some 11-year-olds a very, very long time ago. So lots of experience in schools, lots of experience in guiding and advising young people, in particular, those looking to move on to A-level or a BTEC qualification at the age of 16. Now, when I was preparing this presentation, I was thinking, well, what are the fundamental reasons over all of those decades of working with international students? What have they said to me? Why did you come to the UK? What are the different responses that I've received from them over the years? Now, what you can see in front of you are fundamentally 4 of the reasons that the students gave me: reputation, quality, welcome, and immersion. And I then thought to myself, well, take myself out of the UK, try and look at the UK from a non-UK perspective. What would attract me about the UK? And for me, it was also the fact that the United Kingdom is 4 countries, not 1 country. So a bit of self-indulgence there, I'm afraid. I've looked at why I would study in the UK, 4 countries in 1. Reputation, quality, welcome, immersion, all feedback, as I say, from my previous students. So let's have a look through each of those in turn. As you all know, the UK has a fantastic reputation for education. This sits with universities such as Oxford, which is literally outside my window, Cambridge, UCL, Imperial, Warwick, LSE, Birmingham, Bristol, Edinburgh. The list goes on and on and on. And it's not just those top Russell Group universities. It's also medical schools that don't sit within the Russell Group universities, dental schools. It's Central St Martin's, part of the University of Arts, London. So our university sector has this fantastic global reputation, not just in terms of the quality of the lecturing and teaching that takes place, but the outcomes that are achieved by graduates from those UK universities. I don't have an exact statistic to hand, but I think the employability level of people graduating from a UK university is incredibly high, and quite rightly so. It's not just about the reputation of universities, though. It's also about the reputation of independent schools in the UK. Independent schools educate about 9% of the UK population, but they overachieve in terms of placing students into those top universities. They're also responsible for educating the international students who come to the UK before they go on to university. So reputation is a very big reason why students come here, and also why, as potential students or those advising potential students, I would suggest you encourage young people to come to the UK. That reputation is a great thing for them, for their futures. Quality. I've alluded to that already in terms of the quality of teaching at universities. A-level. A-level is quite rightly, in my view, known as the gold standard of qualifications. It's seen as the gold standard not just by schools, colleges and universities in the UK, but globally. Why is that so? A-level delivers depth. IB, great qualification. IB offers breadth. A-level offers depth. Depth and focus on particular subjects. Now, UK universities require students to study 3 A-levels. Students may end up with 4 if they are what's called double mathematicians. So they would study A-level maths in 1 year, move to A-level further maths in their 2nd year, and they would also finish off usually A-level physics, or it might be A-level chemistry, for example. The vast majority of students studying A-levels finish with 3 subjects at A-level, because that's what the UK universities are looking for. They're not looking for 4, they're not looking for 5. Why are they looking for 3? Because of the reason I've said, depth. They know that those A-levels provide that great depth of knowledge. The other aspect of A-level is that global reach and that global awareness. Several years ago, I was talking to someone in admissions at Harvard, and one of my students got into Harvard. And he and I were just chatting about A-level, and he knew a little bit about A-level, but not a huge amount. And typical academics, we were looking at A-level specifications and so on. And he said it was striking, the depth that A-level gave. And we stayed in touch. And he connected me up with a group of admissions people at American universities, and they said that they could start to see students who'd studied A-levels at their universities, because in their first year, these were the students that were showing such tremendous depth of knowledge in comparison with their American counterparts, for example, who study the American high school system, which is incredibly broad and not at all deep whatsoever. And I say that with affection as someone who lived and worked in America for a while, not as a teacher. So it's not a criticism, it's an observation. So A-level is that quality qualification, that gold standard qualification. Now, I've mentioned already about the quality of independent schools and colleges in the UK. They have a long, long history. The building that you can see in front of you on the screen is where I'm talking to you from. If you look at the white car, go across the road and go up 2 floors, then that's where I'm speaking with you from. We're right in the middle of Oxford. On the right of the picture, as you look at it, behind the cars, that's the back of Christ Church College. Christ Church has educated about 19 UK prime ministers over the centuries. So we have this reputation at school level and with qualifications that match that reputation that we have with our universities. Now, something which often strikes young people who come to the UK for the first time is how diverse and multicultural the UK is. We are this wonderful mix of people from all over the world. British people are this wonderful, diverse community, and we're multicultural. My college epitomizes that, not just in terms of the student population, but also my staff. We are British people from a whole range of different cultural backgrounds, and that makes us extremely welcoming for international students. When I started working with young people from outside of the UK many years ago, I would often meet with students and parents who had gone to, let's just say, a very, very traditional boarding school where they were in a minority, and that, rightly or wrongly, it didn't make them feel particularly welcome. Oxford Sixth Form College is not like that. Our diversity and our broad spread of nationalities makes us a place where young people feel at home very, very, very quickly. Oxford as a city is very diverse, both in terms of the university population, whether that's Oxford University or Oxford Brookes University, or the city itself. And this is very, very important. You know, if you're 16 or 17, if you are the parent or someone who's advising someone who's 16 or 17, I think, and speaking as a parent myself, one of the most important things is having that confidence that my daughter, my son, will be welcome when she arrives in the country that I am sending her or him to. And the UK is one such country. Now, this is what I like about the UK. It echoes of my love of history. So the UK, as I'm sure you all know, is made up of England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. Now, if we take Scotland, King James VI of Scotland was King James I of Great Britain, not the United Kingdom, Great Britain. And he took over the throne in the early 17th century from Queen Elizabeth I. Even though we had a king of Scotland, who was also the king of England and Wales, Scotland did not formally become part of the United Kingdom until approximately 200 years ago, just over. Scotland is a wonderful, wonderful country. If you come to the UK and you're studying in England, do go and visit Scotland. Do not go to Scotland and call it England, whatever you do. We have a great love of one another, but we have a great rivalry with one another. Wales, Henry IV, not Henry VIII, Henry IV, Henry Tudor. So he was the first Tudor monarch, and he was Welsh. and he became king at the end of the 14th century. It was at that point that England, only then, that England and Wales came together as a unified kingdom. Northern Ireland, obviously the history of the island of Ireland is complex, and it's not something that we have time to go into today. But Northern Ireland, as it is now formed, only became part of the UK approximately 100 years ago. So the United Kingdom is a complex united kingdom of these four countries. And I think the attraction for young people, for students, is not necessarily the history of the place, but we've talked about diversity in terms of cultural backgrounds and nationalities. That exists in terms of nations within the UK itself. And there is so much to explore here. The different parts of England are so different. Newcastle is so different from Exeter down in Devon. Devon is very, very different from Yorkshire, a wonderful county. So I think this is a key attraction that maybe the UK should make more of, how we are so very, very different within the four countries that make up the UK. Now, this was a really, really big driver for all of the students who, over the last 30 years that I've worked with, and they said, Mark, we want to study in the UK. We could do A-levels in our home country, but we want to study in the UK because it will immerse us in these four elements of actually being in the UK. So the language. And I said, well, what do you mean? You know, you speak fantastic English. Your English is really good. And they said, but it's idiomatic English. It's the detail of English. It's the different accents within England. And there are many, many different accents. And they said, by being in the UK, that is around me, both within my school or my university and within the town or the city or the village where I'm living. And it's a very, very valid point, because that use of language in a vernacular way, in an idiomatic way, can be very powerful for an international student. If you know how to use language in a way that someone in the UK would, rather than a very strict, grammatically correct form, that is a great addition to one's communication skills. Culture, this was a big, big, big attraction. It was largely, if I'm absolutely honest with you, it was about English culture rather than British culture. That was a key driver in terms of the traditions of England, whether that be the monarchy, whatever that may be. Music, art, particularly in recent decades. So coming here and experiencing culture firsthand was also very, very, very important and a big attraction for coming to the UK. The weather, this made the students smile every time they talked to me about it. And they would say, I like cold weather. I want to be somewhere where it's cold in the winter. And albeit decades ago, it was something. I said, well, why? And from the various countries that the students were coming from, they would say, for example, the weather's always pretty constant where I live. There's no great clear set of seasons. It's either extremely warm, very, very hot and humid, or it's very rainy and cloudy, for example, or it's very moderate all year round. So there was this quite genuine wish to experience springtime, summertime, autumn, the fall, as the Americans would call it, and winter. And despite everything that's going on with climate change in the world, the UK does still experience these marked seasons. And that links in with customs. So many aspects of English culture, British culture and customs center upon the changes in the seasons through the year, whether that's sporting events such as Wimbledon and Ascot, whether that's religious events through the year. So much of it is linked to the weather, which is why English people always bore people with the weather. That's why they always like to talk about the weather, because it is such a big contributor to many aspects of our lives here in the UK. So why come to my wonderful school, Oxford Sixth Form College? As I've mentioned already, we are a small school, so we have no more than 180 students. We focus on the 15 to 19 year group, age group, largely 16 to 19, and it's A-level that is our primary curriculum. So we offer 2-year A-levels. Unusually, we also offer a 5-term A-level that starts in January. Now, some of you listening, you might already be at school in the UK or some school elsewhere in the world, and you might think, well, I'm looking for a change and I need to make a change. With us, you don't have to wait until the beginning of the next academic year in September 24. If you're looking for A-levels, we have a 5-term programme that starts in January. So if you are interested in that, then as Hamish has said, he is the person to contact and have that discussion with. Just an illustration here of the spread of our nationalities. The figures have moved a little bit in the last sort of couple of years. UK, as I said, is the biggest minority. We do have students from India here. I've very fortunately been working with students from India since 2005. And the British Indian community in London for many years before that as well. So a very broad spread of different nationalities. I think another key reason why students come to us is that we try and make sure that they are the right fit. Now, by that, I mean, are they the right fit for college? Are they a young person who wants to be very successful? Are they someone who is ambitious? Are they someone who likes this wonderful, diverse, multinational community? Do they have those values that we look for in a student? The other element is making sure that we provide the right fit in terms of their subjects for A-level. And if they're not an A-level student, if they are absolutely appropriate for the BTEC business program that we run. Now, in front of you, you've got 5 of my very recent students. So I'll go left to right as I look at the screen. So Alex, his grades speak for themselves, 3 A stars, and he's now in his first year at Oxford. Alex came to us because of our small class sizes. So A-level, we have a maximum of 8 students in our classes. That's 8, not an average, a maximum. And Alex said that was the initial very first attraction for him, was the small class size. Chloe from Malaysia, wonderful, wonderful young person. And Chloe was at a very traditional school. And she said, and I met her and her father in Malaysia, and she said, Mark, I've outgrown school. I'm 15, 16, but I'm very mature. And her dad said, yes, she is. And she wanted to be in an environment where she was treated like a young adult, not a child. And that was her first attraction to us. She then also, Malaysia, as you know, is a very multicultural country. And that attracted her, the fact that we were also very diverse and multicultural as well. She's now at Bath, reading management with marketing, which was her target degree course. Greg is probably one of the cleverest young people I've ever met in my life. He's now in his final year at Cambridge, reading natural sciences. Probably one of the world's best mathematicians, but he went down the natural sciences route at university rather than mathematics. When I interviewed Greg, he had offers from a huge number of different schools in the UK, some very, very famous names. And I said to him, why are you interested? Why do you want to come to us? And he said, like Alex, he said it's the small class sizes. Now, Greg said to me at the time, Mark, I want to go to Cambridge. That's my target. And I said, well, you have small classes with us, but then they're going to be, they're called supervisions at Cambridge. You're going to have supervisions of more than 8, and the lectures are obviously going to be a lot more than 8. And Greg just said to me, I've got to get there first. So he showed that maturity and that awareness that he needed to get the grades, and he needed to find the right educational vehicle to get the grades, i.e. Oxford Sixth Form College. So great maturity from Greg. Krish, he's now at the University of Surrey, just finished his first year, where he won an award as the best first year undergrad student on the International Hospitality Management degree course there. Krish was just a brilliant interviewee. He said, Mark, I'm not an A-level student. That's not what I am about. I want a 2-year course equal to 3 A-levels, which BTEC extended is. He said, I'm good on coursework. I'm not good on final exams. And that's why he chose the BTEC extended diploma in business. Ella started A-level and realized after 1 year that A-level was not for her. And so she moved over to us and did our 1-year program, which is the BTEC diploma with 1 A-level alongside it. So the BTEC diploma is worth 2 A-levels. The extended diploma is worth 3 A-levels. And Ella achieved her target as well, criminology at City. So making sure that we have students who fit the environment, the values, the culture of the college, but also at admissions, we making sure that they're choosing the right subjects and they're choosing the right programs. Now, just some quotes. There's a nice quote there from Alex. You've just seen a photograph of him, and there he is again on the left. Just quickly, the young woman that he's talking to is Olivia. Olivia's at Warwick reading law. Olivia came to us from a very traditional boarding school. Once again, she felt that she was being treated like a child, not a young adult, and wanted to come to an environment like ours. So that's Olivia on talking to Alex. I think Alex, it's a very powerful thing. I would like to thank my teachers for their brilliant support throughout my studies. And it wasn't just about teaching, it was encouraging, guiding, and so on. Greg, who we've mentioned already, talks about how keen we all are, not just the teachers, to support student well-being. So whether that's the boarding staff, so we have day pupils and boarding pupils, whether that's the administration staff, all of us, always very, very focused on supporting all of our students. And Michaela talks about the individual attention, and that obviously falls out of having those very, very small class sizes. So in summary, why have students chosen to come to the UK? The reputation of the universities and schools, the quality of qualifications, the quality of independent schools, the immersion in life in the UK, and from my perspective, that variety of 4 nations in one. Why have students chosen in particular to come to us? In summary, scale, expertise, and flexibility. So as I've said, we're small and the students are attracted by that. Expertise, so highly qualified teachers. Around 40% of my teachers are Oxford or Cambridge graduates. And flexibility, both in terms of making sure that we put the student onto the right program, but also as teachers adapting how we teach to the students who are in our classrooms. Students learn in different ways, and as a teacher, you have to understand your students very well so that you can make those adaptations so that they go on and succeed. So that's it from me for now, everybody, in terms of my presentation. So we have some contact details up on the screen for you, but very, very happy to take any questions that anybody might have.
Thank you so much for taking out time and giving us this insightful presentation. Now time for Q&A session. I will call out the question from YouTube chat box.
Thank you, Yukti.
Yeah, sure. So the first question is, what do you think are the pros and cons, if there are any, about getting a master degree in the UK for international students?
Pros and cons, I think getting a master's obviously is expensive, but I think it's expensive wherever you are in the world. My advice would be choose your university very carefully. So SIUK are experts. They know what they're doing. They're a brilliant organisation. They have those links with the universities. And it's echoes of what I've spoken about. In the same way as choosing a school should be done carefully and make sure that you match that school. It's the same with a master's program. I think a big pro of studying a master's in the UK is all of those things we've mentioned today. You know, you're here in the UK, you're immersed in life in the UK. You are, depending on the university you attend, you're highly likely to be meeting with students from all over the world. I think other pros with the UK, I think in terms of masters, I think we are particularly strong in the sciences, engineering. I think we are particularly strong in business and management, and also hospitality. I mentioned Krish, who's at Surrey. University of Surrey run fantastic master's degree courses.
So next question is, what are the visa and application deadlines?
So visa that's not an area that I'm an expert. So the college, we have a UKVI license to sponsor students to come and study here, to study A-levels or BTEC. But the visa deadlines depends on when you are applying to come to the UK and the course that you are applying for. SIUK have great visa advisors for students as well, don't they?
Okay. Is it possible to start to apply for a scholarship for January start?
Yes, it is. So the way that we operate our scholarships, it's all around what you are aiming to do for your career. So for example, if you want to study A-level biology, chemistry and maths with us in January, and you're aiming for medicine or dentistry, then you would take a chemistry exam. If you are aiming to become a businesswoman or a businessman, then you would take a business paper. So the scholarship paper that you sit is all dependent upon what your target degree course, what your target career course is.
Okay. Do we have to write IELTS?
So for the IELTS exam, so if you are applying, this is my little bit of knowledge of visa rules, so double check this, everybody. If you are applying for a student visa and you're under the age of 17, then you don't have to take IELTS. I think if you're 17 or over, I think the UKVI require that you take a SALT, a secure English language test. That can be IELTS, but do check, guys. I'm not completely sure. It's not my area of expertise. I think you can take a range of other exams as well for your visa. From our perspective, taking IELTS academic is a really good thing to do because as a school, it gives us a very good baseline of students' English levels when they start at the school. And IELTS academic is, if you like, the gold standard of English language exams as well. Oh, quick one, Yukti, if I may. If anybody listening, if you are currently studying IGCSE English second language, okay, if you are aiming for a top university such as Oxford or Cambridge, IGCSE English second language is not accepted by those universities. You would need to take IELTS while you were here or IGCSE English first language.
Can you please tell me the deadline for January 2024 intake?
So for the January entry, we have a very limited number of places. So we have 8 across biology, chemistry, maths, physics, and we have about 6 across business, economics, sociology, or maths. So we would like you to apply as soon as possible. Ideally, if you could apply by the middle of October, so we could interview you before the beginning of November, that would be fantastic.
Okay. For international student, is there any help to find jobs in the UK after graduation or during the studies?
That would be largely a question for the universities. Students are allowed to work while they are studying. I'm not sure of the number of hours that are permitted, but they are allowed to study. Once young people have graduated out of university, the UK does now have a scheme whereby they can stay in the UK and work. That would be something that you need to talk to the universities about.
Okay. What is the maximum scholarship student can get?
So it's 30% on tuition fees. So there's no scholarship available on boarding fees, just on tuition.
Okay. Is accommodation guaranteed? How much do students typically pay in rent?
So if a student comes into our boarding house, and if they're under 18, that's what we would recommend. I think as a parent, that's what I would want as well. So they would pay in the region of £25,000 for the year. If a student is slightly older and wants to rent somewhere or has family in Oxford, then generally they would be paying between £11,000 to £12,000 a year. But obviously they would have to then pay utility bills, they would have to pay council tax, they would have to pay for their food and so on and so forth.
Should we go for job or studies after A-level?
Ooh, personally, I would say go for study. In the UK, we have something called a modern apprenticeship, and the UK government, quite rightly, are encouraging young people to think about job after A-level, not just university. And an increasing number of students UK students are choosing that. Now, those modern apprenticeships, as far as I understand, which you would start after your A-levels at the age of 18 or 19, they're not available to international students. And I think if you're looking to come and stay in the UK and build a career in the UK, I think having a degree from a really good university is still very, very, very important to the vast majority of employers. And as we know, employers now are global. So getting that degree in the UK and enabling you to work in the UK, you then apply for a job in the US, Australia, Canada, back in India, wherever. And that new potential employer is going to be looking for a degree as well. So I would say for international students, once you finish your A-levels, I would very much encourage you to apply to university and aim for the very best university you can possibly get to.
Okay. I am interested in medical microbiology. What's the percentage of scholarship offer?
Sorry, Yutzi.
Okay, I'll repeat the question. The student is interested in medical microbiology. So he's asking what's the percentage of scholarship offer?
So for medical microbiology, at university, you need to study biology, chemistry and maths as A-levels, and you would take a chemistry exam. And if you achieve top scores in that scholarship exam, it would be 30% of the tuition fee.
Okay. So I have covered all the questions from YouTube chat box. Thank you for answering all the questions so well. Do you want to share any final words?
Thank you very much, Yuti. Thank you everybody for listening, whether you've listened live or you're watching as this is broadcast on YouTube. Thank you for your time, and hopefully I will be able to welcome you here in Oxford, in England, very, very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your valuable time. All the audience, if you have any further questions, please feel free to contact SI UK India office. For more update, do follow us on our social media handles. Bye bye. Take care.